Hey guys, Pete here. This will be my Cersei How Long May She Reign video. It will contain spoilers for everything up to this point in both the books and through season 6 in the show. If you're not up to date, you will not want to watch this video unless for some reason you just don't like surprises. Queen Cersei Lannister, first of her name, Queen of the Andals and the First Men, protector of the Seven Kingdoms, long may she reign, long may she reign. But how long will she reign? And what exactly is she packing now that she has gone from ruling behind the scenes to being cut off from her power and confined to the Red Keep to finally just taking over altogether as the presumptive boss of the realm? Before we get started, I just want to make a couple quick disclaimers. One, I'm a big fan of TV show Cersei's character portrayal. In a drama of this scale with so many rich characters, she has a way of making every scene she's in memorable. Number two, I don't think any of what's going on with show Cersei at the end of season 6 will actually happen in the books. Even though she is pretty much in the same place after Dance with Dragons waiting for trial, it is way less likely that her path out is a path to power. We'll have to wait and see, but as far as I'm concerned, Queen Cersei the First on the show has a completely different story than book Cersei from here on out. In this video, we're going to look at what a Queen Cersei reign might look like and how long she is likely to stay on the throne. Most will be speculation based on the events that led up to her taking control and the relative strength behind her compared to the other factions who want to claim the throne. So quickly, let's look at how we got to where we are. Cersei is the oldest child of Tywin and Joanna Lannister. She has a twin, Jaime, who was born shortly after her, and a younger brother, Tyrion. While giving birth to Tyrion, Joanna Lannister died. Her father was a very powerful dude. He was Lord of Casterly Rock and the hand of the last Targaryen king, Aerys II. He was considered to be a great hand and held the position for 20 years. Things were strained between Tywin and the Mad King, though, and two major events led to him stepping down as hand. First, Tywin wanted to marry Cersei to Aerys' heir, Rhaegar. The king refused this match, and instead Rhaegar married Elia Martell of Dorne. As a side note here, Prince Rhaegar also ran off with Lyanna Stark, who was betrothed to Robert Baratheon. Rhaegar and Lyanna produced a child, Jon Snow. To make matters worse, Aerys named Jaime Lannister to his Kingsguard at age 15, which took away Tywin's heir to Casterly Rock, since the Kingsguard can't marry. Cersei played a secret role in Jaime's decision to join the Kingsguard, as the two twin lovers hoped that this would keep them close together. Tywin eventually resigned as hand of the king, and Robert's rebellion then broke out. The Lannisters mostly stayed out of things during the rebellion, but played a pivotal role in the sacking of King's Landing, after the momentum shifted in the Baratheons' direction. Robert claimed the throne and married Cersei, who continued her incestuous relationship with her brother. While married to Robert, Cersei gave birth to 3 children, Joffrey, Marcella, and Tommen. Joffrey became the crown prince, but as readers and viewers, we know that Jaime is the father instead of Robert, which makes him illegitimate. Robert's hand, Jon Arryn, discovered that the children were actually Jaime's bastards, so Cersei set a plan in motion to have him killed. Robert then installed Ned Stark as hand, and Cersei decided to move on Robert, staging a hunting accident where he was fatally wounded. This set the stage for Cersei to install Joffrey before his legitimacy could be questioned, get rid of Ned Stark, who knew her secret, and put her in control while her father Tywin was off fighting in the War of the Five Kings. Unfortunately, King Joffrey I was murdered on his wedding day by his bride-to-be's family due to his sadistic nature and not-so-luring disposition. This put Cersei's youngest son Tommen on the throne, and along with her brother Tyrion killing her father, made Cersei the behind-the-scenes ruler of the realm. At the height of her power, she made moves against her enemies by reinstating the Faith Militant, which eventually backfired and landed her in the dungeons. She was facing trial for a number of charges, including treason and regicide. To get out of it, she confessed her crimes and is forced to do a walk of shame naked through King's Landing. But at that same time, she gets to go back to the Red Keep to await trial. This is where the book storyline is paused until the next book comes out and the TV show continues on, which I just don't think they're going to be the same. Cersei is definitely shamed in the books. She doesn't have the same kind of bounce back, so we'll just have to see what happens. Cersei is dealt a blow on the TV show when the Sparrow uses his influence to have King Tommen ban trial by combat in the Seven Kingdoms. Up to this point, she has been confident that her champion, the Qyburn rebooted Mountain, can't be defeated, which would mean that the gods can't find her guilty of her crimes. Banning trial by combat leaves Cersei with few options, so she decides destroying the Great Sept of Baelor with wildfire is probably the best way of getting out of having to face justice. In this process, she kills the High Sparrow, her son's wife Queen Marjorie, her uncle and hand of the king Kevin Lannister, and Marjorie's father Mace Tyrell, the Lord of Highgarden. She also has Grand Maester Pycelle knocked off, which clears out all of the remaining resistance against her in the small council. So everything is going good until Tommen decides that what has happened was too much for him, and he decides to take a swan dive out his window. This leads to the final King's Landing scene of season 6, where we see Cersei get crowned the first queen of Westeros. But seriously, how is this even possible, and will she be able to keep all this power now that she has it? To speculate on how good Cersei's chances of retaining the throne are, let's look at who she has behind her and what she's up against. Since the show showed her coronation and that she got rid of her closest enemies, we're going to assume that she, for the time being, is unopposed and undisputed inside the walls of King's Landing. We saw that Qyburn was wearing the Hand of the King's pin when he presented her with the crown, and the zombie mountain appears to be the Lord Commander over Kingsguard. Jaime doesn't seem to be enthusiastic about the turn of events, but we will also assume that he is behind her with the loyal Lannister army. Remember in the show that their relationship is still going strong, and even though it isn't in the books, it doesn't seem like that's going to change right away. A quick glance at the show's version of the Lannister family tree gives us an idea of just who might be able to oppose her inside her own family. As you can see, everyone is pretty much dead except Cersei and her two brothers. The only other living relative is Kevin's wife, Donna Swift. Donna has never really shown any interest in being a part of the day-to-day ongoing stuff that happens in King's Landing, or going after any power at all, so I don't think that she's going to be a problem. In the books, Tywin has more siblings, but as far as the show is concerned, it seems like Cersei only has to worry about her brothers. Jaime would actually be the more obvious successor from the family since he was removed from the Kingsguard and he's male, but I'm not going to go down any rabbit holes based on what would be the sensible line of succession. The show keeps the popular characters in the center of the story even when it doesn't make perfect sense, so like I said before, we'll just roll with things how they are. So we'll say that the Lannister army is behind her, plus the City Watch, and assume she can raise a medium-sized army from the Crown Lands. What about the rest of Westeros? Whether Cersei is sitting on the Iron Throne or not, she has major problems. One of them is Daenerys, who has departed Dragon Bay, which used to be called Slaver's Bay, and is going to be heading up the Narrow Sea. Another problem is that she took the throne by force and killed some important members of other great houses in the process. Who exactly is on Cersei's side? Well, her inner circle consists of Qyburn, Jaime, and the Zombie Mountain. Qyburn has no ties to anyone that we know of, and his Maester's chain was revoked by the Citadel. Since she killed Pycelle, they should actually send a new Grand Maester from Old Town, but who even knows what they will do in light of his sudden disappearance. Jaime can command the Lannister army and work with the other allies as we have seen from his recent trip to the Riverland. It isn't absolutely clear how he will react to everything that's happened in King's Landing while he was gone, though, so we may find him in some tough situations now that Cersei has lost all of her children. Her love for her children has been her one redeeming quality and the thing that's kept her somewhat under control, and now that they are gone, she should officially be off the rails. Zombie Mountain is basically a killing machine who seems more than capable of protecting the queen. Of the rest of the great houses and kingdoms that the Lannisters can count on, we have the Riverlands. Walder Frey might be gone, but the Tullys are pretty much neutralized on the show as well. The remaining Freys have no reason not to support the crown regardless of who succeeds Walder, so that's just a given, I think. In the books, Lady Stoneheart is wreaking havoc in the Riverlands with the Brotherhood without banners, but in the show they seem to be going north and there is no Lady Stoneheart. Based on the recent events with the Tyrells and that the Boltons had been defeated in the north, none of the other regions or great houses can really be counted on. Half of the Greyjoys are with Dany, which leaves Euron and his half of the Iron Men, but I kind of expect them to end up battling with Daenerys since he mentioned his plan was to go off and marry her. Book Euron is totally different, so we can't really know for sure, but we don't have any strong evidence to put them on the side of the crown. To just put together some rough numbers, we can give the throne 50,000 Lannister soldiers, 2,000 gold cloaks from the City Watch, maybe around 15,000 troops from the Crown Lands, and 45,000 soldiers from the Riverlands. That would come up with a total of 112,000, give or take. Daenerys is definitely on her way to Westeros to claim the throne. This is what a lot of fans have been waiting for since the very beginning, and it is finally upon us. Let's look at how her forces stack up against the crown. Her inner circle consists of Tyrion, Grey Worm, and Varys. Tyrion is her hand, and he has a wealth of knowledge that will be helpful. He understands his sister Cersei and her motivations, has intimate understanding of how King's Landing operates from his time as hand to King Joffrey, and he knows about the vast network of tunnels underneath the city. Grey Worm is a leader of the Unsullied army, and he is absolutely loyal. He could be useful in a number of different situations. Varys' storyline in the show is totally different than the one in the books, but he appears to be wholeheartedly behind Daenerys, and he brings a lot to the table. His connections in King's Landing are unrivaled from his time as Master of Whisperers. It's also a thought that part of Qyburn's power comes from his running the Little Birds, which they started out on Varys' side, so they could easily be swayed back in that direction. For someone who's never lived in Westeros, Daenerys has quite a bit of support there, not to mention she has picked up some real military might in the preparation for her invasion. We know that Dany is bringing her Unsullied and the Dothraki. She also has Daario and the sellswords, but it isn't clear how many were staying in Meereen or still are hired by her, so we won't really focus on them. Yara and Theon Greyjoy have pledged their men and ships, and Varys has brought in Dorne and the Reach. With, I'm not sure what the Sand Snakes call their house. It was House Martell, but they wiped it out. And so, we have them and House Tyrell. Well, we'll look at the North separately in a minute because we can't really say how they're going to get involved. But if we look at the numbers of who we know Dany has, she has 8,000 Unsullied, about 50,000 mounted Dothraki, 10,000 Ironborn, maybe 30,000 Dornish, and for simplicity, we'll say 50,000 soldiers from the Tyrells and the Reach. I say simplicity because according to the books, the forces from the Reach are a lot higher, but it seems like on the show they do it a little bit different. Like, I know they mentioned that the Lannister army was the biggest army, so we'll just add those numbers together, and that would come up to about 148,000. That is the tale of the tape for where we are in the end of season 6. In part 2 of this video series, I will talk about the North, the intangibles like Dany's dragons, and my predictions on how Cersei's time on the throne will play out. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you'll know when part 2 comes out in a few days. Please like the video and leave any questions you have in the comments section. Maybe I will use some of them when I'm putting the finishing touches on part 2. Also, check out my Jon Snow Dragon Rider theory video, which I'll put a link right up at the top for, and let me know how you think that will fit into the story. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.